right, so today we're going to talk about the shortest route to $100,000 annual income. Now, in real estate, $100,000 income is absolutely achievable. You know, there are a number of real estate agents nationwide that are making $100,000 a year each year consistently. So what we're going to really talk about today are some of those tips and tricks and shortcuts and things that we can do to help get you guys to that income level in the shortest amount of time period. Now, what I will tell you guys, and I'll tell you this right from the start, a lot of what I will tell you in this class, your initial instinct is going to be, no, I don't want to do that. And you won't be alone. There are a lot of real estate agents that go, nah, I just really don't want to do that. And that's fine. But this is the way that has been proven and shown through a number of coaches and even top producing agents. They all tend to agree that these are the items and these are the activities and these are the things that you should be doing every day to be able to get to that $100,000 income. So the question really becomes, how do you build your real estate business and earn $100,000 annually, right? That's the question. So there's 5 main things that we're going to talk about today. We're going to learn the things that you need to focus on to be able to produce the largest return in your business, determine the type of real estate leads to pursue. We're going to take action using a high impact daily strategy plan. We're going to review some of the tools that are necessary for handling a large volume of leads. And then I'm going to give you a few tips and tricks just for staying motivated and continuing that momentum. So if nobody has any questions, let's go ahead and get started. In real estate, the most valuable commodity that you all have is your time. So think about it this way. When somebody says, what do we do? Well, we help people buy or sell homes, right? That's what we do. If we have a buyer that submits a contract, do we get paid? Not unless it closes. So how many times have we had a deal that we have a buyer, we get the buyer and seller to agree on a contract, we get through inspections, we have some repairs that need to be done, we get everybody to agree. Then we move forward, then we have an appraisal, the house appraises okay. Then we get all the way to closing and something changes a few days before closing. And all of a sudden the deal falls apart. Do I get paid for that? Not at all. So I have spent hours and hours and hours and hours and hours for free. So what did I spend? I spent my time. Time is your most valuable commodity. The biggest way to keep yourself from getting the type of income that you guys want to make is wasting time. So what we're going to teach you today are ways to be more efficient and to be able to maximize on your time, because that really is the secret to finding the type of income that you want to make, is properly leveraging your time. So let's say, for example, you have 3 hours of unscheduled time in the middle of your day. How do you spend it? And so right now, let's just say that you had 3 hours in the middle of your day right this second. Pop into chat. What would you guys do with it? How would you spend those 3 hours? And be honest, there's no judgment, there's no right or wrong answer here. But let me know, how would you spend those 3 hours right now? Before this class, before I'm going to tell you how you should be spending those 3 hours, tell me what you would do with them. So Debbie says prospecting. Okay, prospecting is a good answer. Olivia says following up. Okay. Okay. Debbie said, I choose to watch you. Good choice. So there are 2 essential daily activities that successful agents, no matter what market they work in, no matter how hot or cold the market is that day, that week, that month, that year. There are two things that every successful agent is going to be doing with that time. Okay? Lead generation and lead nurturing. That's it. That should be the lion's share of what you are doing with your day. So we always hear about the 80-20 rule, right? 20% of your customers are going to produce 80% of your business. That's just the nature of it. But it works the same way for agents. 20% of your activity is going to result in 80% of your productivity. Let me say that again. 20% of your activities are going to result in 80% of your business. So what are those 20%? That's what we're going to really talk about today. Because I'll tell you, driving buyers around showing properties, that's not how you make money. Because at that point, that buyer has already made the decision that they're going to get in the car and they're going to go look at a home. At some point, they're going to probably buy a home. Now, not always. Sometimes you have the tire kickers or the people who just want to go look at property. And, you know, that's just something we deal with in our industry. But for the most part, the time that you need to be focused on is in generating new leads and nurturing the leads you already have. So what must your business plan or strategy consist of? How do I nurture? How do I find leads, right? Well, it comes from a plan. How do I get leads? How do I convert leads? This is the question that you should be asking yourself every single morning. How do I find leads? How do I convert those leads? That should be almost the sole focus of what you do in your business every day. So we've got those two things. What else do we do? Well, everything else that follows getting leads and converting leads just becomes a checklist of processes. These are just the motions that we have to go through to get from I'm ready to buy a house to congratulations, you just closed. Here's your check, Mr. or Mrs. Agent, right? Everything else is just a series of checklists and processes that get you from A to B. Now, there are 8 basic lead generation strategies, ways that you can generate business. You can buy leads. You can help another agent. That sometimes means joining a team. You can work for sale by owners and expireds. You can network or you can volunteer. You can advertise. You can farm a particular farm area. You can talk to everyone. Or you can work your circle or your sphere of influence. Now, number 8 is non-negotiable. This is always going to be a part of your business. Your sphere are the people that you know, like you, trust you. Okay? These are friends, family, acquaintances, people you met once. This is your sphere of influence. Now, within your sphere of influence, and I've harped on this in other classes, but I'll touch on it again this morning, you're going to have, think of it like a bullseye, right? You've got a small circle in the middle, a slightly bigger concentric circle above that, and then a slightly larger concentric circle outside of that, okay? So we have 3 circles. The center circle, or our bullseye, are what I call my A's. Those are people that I know their kids, I know the name of their spouse, I know their dogs. Those are people that I know, right? Those are my A's. My B's are, hey, I recognize you, I know your name, I've met you a couple of times, you know, maybe we have something in common, our kids play ball together, or something like that. Those are your B's. Your C's are the people that you met once, that you kind of recognize them. Hey, I think we met. I can't remember exactly where. You know, those are your C's. Your goal always needs to be turning your C's into B's and your B's into A's. That's your sphere of influence. So that one is non-negotiable. Anybody who has success in real estate or really in any sales industry focuses on their sphere of influence. But outside of that, that gives you 7 other choices on how you want to generate business. So what I would tell you is you're going to work your sphere of influence plus 2 others. Any 2 you want, but pick 2. So that could be buying leads, joining a team, FISBOs, networking, advertising, farming, talking. Pick 2. But here's the thing. When you pick those 2, you have to be 100% in on them. It can't be, let me try buying leads for a month or 2 and see if it works. You need to commit to this strategy for, I would say, a minimum of 6 months, but in reality, I would commit to it for a year. Every single day, good, bad, or indifferent, you lock in on this strategy for 12 months. Because here's what's going to happen. In Florida, our real estate business is extremely cyclical. We go through cycles. So we have snowbird season, we have tourist season, we have hurricane season, we have COVID season, apparently. This is going to be part of what happens in your business. That's why having 2 different strategies are going to be the most effective. Because if you're all in on one strategy, it may be that you're in the wrong time of year for that strategy to be effective. So then what happens? Oh, that doesn't work. Greg lied to me. No. Any of these 7 strategies will work when properly executed. Here's the other thing. Think about professional baseball players, professional football players, professional basketball players, professional athletes, professional musicians, actors. What is the one thing that all of these professional people have in common? They have a coach. Michael Jordan, arguably one of the best basketball players in his time, had a coach. How do you put on your resume that you are Michael Jordan's basketball coach? They do. Professional football players, professional quarterbacks still have quarterback coaches. So what does that mean for you? You are not, I am not, what I would consider a professional, top NFL level real estate agent. I'm not. So what does that mean? I constantly need to be learning. There is always more to learn. So I need to be able to give this strategy some time to be able to play out so I can get enough data to be able to determine whether or not this strategy was effective. I've got to have a coach of some sort, an accountability partner at least, to be able to keep growing and learning from. Your sphere of influence is non-negotiable. Pick 2 others and commit to them. So you need to determine the lead strategies and then create a detailed list of ways to generate leads and the actions that are required to make it successful. So what does that mean? Okay, I've picked my 2 strategies. What do I need to do to make those strategies be effective? Well, it depends on the strategy you picked. Let's just say, for example, we're doing for sale by owners and buying leads, just as an example. So if I'm buying leads, what does my budget allow? $500 a month, $1,000 a month? I will tell you, depending on the lead source that you're using, if you can't commit to at least $300 to $500 a month, buying leads is not going to be an effective strategy for you. Because you're not going to get enough quality to be able to have a conversion rate to make that make sense. Because there are too many people out there that are spending $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 a month that are going to capture the lion's share of those leads. And don't be so naive enough to believe that Zillow or Realtor or Homes.com or Trulia or any of these other sources are distributing these leads equally. They're not. If I'm spending $5,000 a month on leads, do you really think that I'm going to be getting the same caliber of leads as the agent that's spending $150 a month with Zillow? Not at all. It's just not how it works. They will try to tell you, oh yeah, we split all of our leads up evenly. It's just a round robin rotation of however they come in. Guys, it's BS. And I'll just tell you, it just is. Now, does that mean that buying leads is not an effective strategy? Absolutely not. I bought leads for almost 2 years and did okay with it. My conversion rate was enough that it made sense for me to continue spending $1,000 a month buying leads. But you've got to have that money to be able to do it. Let's talk about for sale by owners. How do you find for sale by owners? Maybe they're on the internet, maybe they're not. You guys are spending some time driving around looking for sale by owners in your farm area, in the area that you want to work. In real estate, there's 2 paths to success: finances or sweat equity. You're going to spend one of the 2. And in most cases, you're probably going to spend both. If you don't have cash to spend, that's totally okay. But understand that you are going to have sweat equity in your business. It's just how it is. It's unavoidable. So accept that. Because there is no silver bullet that I can just say, hey, listen, do these 5 things and you can make $100,000 this year. It's just not that simple. But what I can do is tell you, if you are willing to do the things that I'm about to tell you over the course of the next 45 minutes or so, you can make $100,000 a year pretty easily. Now, I say pretty easily. There's nothing easy about it. You're going to work your butt off. But if you're willing to work your butt off for it, you can absolutely achieve this. So create a detailed list. Did I say a big picture list? Did I say this pie in the sky, itty bitty kind of sketch? No. It needs to be a detailed list of what you want to do to generate those leads using your strategies. And if you guys have questions about that after the class or in the coming days as you're starting to do this, I'm more than happy to talk through it with you. Of the 7 strategies that are here, I've tried most of them. So I can help you kind of understand what that detailed list needs to consist of. But I want you to really put some thought into, if I'm going to buy leads, what does that mean? If I'm going to work for sale by owners, how do I do that? Put your ideas down on paper. Create accountability for it. Now, there are 13 fundamentals of highly successful people. And this tends to be true across all industries, but it holds true with real estate as well. Have goals with a purpose. What does that mean? Have a purpose for the income that you want. I've talked to people and I said, okay, what is your goal? And their goal is to make a lot of money. Okay, what does that mean? I don't know, I want to make a lot of money. Okay, give me a number. I don't know, I just want to make a lot of money. That's not a goal. That's this unattainable, unachievable piece of nonsense that you just throw out there. So how do we improve on that? Okay, I want to make $100,000 in the next 12 months. Awesome. Now I have a goal. I want to take my family on a vacation to Europe next summer. Okay, cool. Now we have definitive pieces. I want to go buy that dream car. Perfect. What is your goal? Quantify your goals. Because your goal has to be big enough to be challenging, but small enough to be focusable. That's not really a word, but I just made it up. Something that you can actually focus on. Because if my idea is I want to make a lot of money, a lot of money to somebody who's been making $30,000 a year for the last 10 years might be 50 grand. That might be a lot of money. And to a lot of people, that is a lot of money. To others, a lot of money might be $200,000. So a lot of money is not a goal. Quantify those things. Fundamental people or successful people, highly successful people, have goals with a purpose. The second thing is they have habits. They develop them and they keep them. Hey, Edwin, did you have a question? I saw you raised your hand. Did you? Okay, we'll keep going. Oh, there's the chat. Okay. Oh, Em said I'm good. Okay. So they develop habits and they keep those habits. So let's look at New Year's resolutions. And if you're this person, I'm sorry, I don't mean to pick on you. New Year's resolution, I'm going to get healthy. What does that mean? You're going to find a cure for what? What does healthy look like to you? Is I'm going to get healthy, does that mean you're going to lose 5 pounds? Does that mean you're going to go to the gym 3 days a week? Does that mean you're going to cut your sugar intake? What does it mean? For every single person on this call and every person watching this class later, getting healthy means something completely different. At the beginning of the year, I decided to get healthy. What that meant was I've dropped 25 pounds. I have cut my sugar intake by over half. I am going to the gym. I set definitive goals for what I wanted to achieve. Get healthy doesn't mean anything. What are your goals? Develop the habits. So, New Year's resolutions. By February, the majority of people have forgotten what their New Year's resolution was. I always said that I was going to open a gym. And from January through March 1st, it was going to be a workout center. And from March 2nd to December 31st, it was going to be a bar. Because that's what's going to make the most money. People that come in for the first 3 months and work out hard, and then you take all the equipment out and you turn it into a bar. Because by the end of that 3rd month, everybody that was so gung-ho about going to the gym in January, it's not there anymore. What are the habits? Develop them. Your habits can be anything. Getting out of bed before 9 o'clock. Making 10 phone calls a day. Talking to people about real estate. Wearing your name tag. Calling the for sale by owners. Learning your scripts. Getting comfortable with being on the phone. Being comfortable talking to people. Whatever it is, develop those habits. Because those people that are making $100,000 a year are the ones who are developing good habits and they are sticking with them. These are not the people that set goals in January and forget about them by March. These are the people that wake up every day with a focus and a purpose. So if you want to achieve that $100,000 income, you need to develop the habits that are going to help you achieve that, and you need to work at them every single day. The third one, highly successful people start their day by 6 a.m. Most of them start their day by 5 a.m. I can tell you guys, I haven't seen 7 o'clock in bed in probably 2 years. I just don't. I typically get 4 to 6 hours of sleep. And very frequently, I have days that start before 3 a.m. I would say at least once or twice a week. Because I snap awake, my brain is already running, and I just go ahead and get out of bed and start working. It's just, I get that I'm not the norm in this, but yeah, I frequently have days that start well before 4 a.m. By 10 o'clock in the morning, by the time this class has started, I am typically halfway through my day. Now, what that means is by 10 o'clock, I am a zombie and I'm ready to black out. But 10, 10:30, 11 o'clock, I go to sleep. 3, 4, 5 o'clock, I'm up, ready to go, and off we go. Now, guys, I don't drink caffeine. Hardly at all. I might have a soda a week, maybe. Don't drink coffee. I just don't. I'm wired differently. But what I'm saying is, I made a commitment years ago, even when I was in high school. I would get up at 5 o'clock. I would be at the gym by 5:30. I would work out till 6:30, well, 6:15. I'd go home, take a shower, and I would be at school for the first bell at 7:15. I've been doing this since I was 15 years old. Because I learned very early on that successful people start their day early. Now, a lot of you go, well, if I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to be such a hazy mess that I'm not going to accomplish anything. It's all about mindset. All about mindset. Every bit of what I'm talking to you guys about today is resetting your mind to be effective in what you're trying to do. What is the number one reason that agents don't make phone calls to for sale by owners? They're in their head. What is the reason that you can't get out of bed and can't function at 4 o'clock in the morning? Your mindset. At first, it's going to be hard. It's going to suck. I'm not going to lie to you. If you're used to not rolling out of bed till 8, 8:30 and you start programming to set that alarm for 5, it's going to suck. But you know what? When you start your day early, when you start accomplishing those things while the house is quiet, while you are fresh, while you can focus on those things that matter before all the other crap from the day starts bombarding you, you will find that you accomplish so much more in the course of that day. It just happens. Start your day early. Number 4, work from a daily task schedule. I grew up, my dad was a senior chief in the Navy. This man had checklists on how to create checklists. It just was the way he lived his life. He had a checklist for every single thing he did. But you know what? He never rolled out of bed and said, what am I supposed to do today? It was never a question. He knew he rolled out of bed and he had his to-do list for the day. There was never a question. Have your task schedules. Roll out of bed with a purpose. I don't get out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning and go, I wonder what I should do today. It doesn't happen. The last thing I do before I lay down at night is put tomorrow's tasks on my computer on my desk. I know what I need to accomplish tomorrow. And highly successful people function with a purpose. They have a schedule. They have a task list. They know who they're going to call, what they're going to do. And you know what's amazing at starting at 3 o'clock in the morning? I can grab my phone and I can start sending text messages. But you know what I do? I schedule them for 8:30 or 9 o'clock. I have an app on my phone that lets me schedule my text messages. So at 3 o'clock in the morning, the 12 people that I need to reach out to today, my emails are typed up and scheduled to be sent. My text messages are typed up and scheduled to be sent. It's one less thing that by 9 o'clock, when I'm ready to start doing all these other things, the bank is open, the title company is open, all these other things are going on, I'm not having to sit there typing my text messages. And Debbie says an iPhone has it built in that you don't need an app. Exactly. I use iMessaging on Verizon and it does the same thing. So there are things that you can do. For Samsung, it is, I think it's called, what is this app called? It's my Verizon messaging. I can't think of the app. But if you looked out there, there's a million different ways that you can go in and schedule your text messages. And I would encourage you guys to do that. Because at the end of the day, it allows you to be effective and to accomplish what you need to accomplish at the time that you have available to do it. How's your time spent and how is it planned? So right now, and we can use the little raise hand feature. I'm not sure exactly, I've got my screen presented, so I can't look at how to do it. How many of you guys have a schedule that you have set for your day? And this can be mostly rhetorical, but I want you to think about it. How many real estate agents as a whole do you think roll out of bed and have a plan for their day? I would tell you guys statistically, maybe 1 in 4, maybe. And that might be generous, might be more like 1 in 6. But you know what? That 1 out of 6 is the one that's out there making $100,000. The one that's meeting their goals day after day, week after week, month after month. Because at the end of the day, there is no silver bullet to making $100,000 a year. There are a million little actions that you need to take every single day to get there. I'm not sure what that was. Okay. Fundamental number 5, they invest in quality tools. Now, at Florida Luxury, we give you a lot of these tools for free. A customer database, a very high-level CRM, marketing tools, the Smart tool, monthly emails that go out, drip campaigns. But there are a lot of other tools out there that will allow you to be more efficient. CRMs and other things. Successful people invest in quality tools. If it took me 2 hours to put my deal into the back office because I struggle with technology, what did I say in the very first slide? Your biggest commodity in real estate is your time. So it takes you 2 hours to put all the paperwork into the back office, and it's frustrating. And by the end of it, you're just fried. Was that a worthwhile investment? Not even a little bit. But what if I had somebody that I could pay $10, even $20 to do that for me? And in those 2 hours, I could go generate some more business. Is that a good use of my time and money? 100% it is. But so often we get so bogged down with these mundane processes that honestly are just a colossal waste of our time. But we get so bogged down with them that we lose efficiency. We lose the ability to go make more money. Why? Because in our head, us spending 2 hours fighting with that is better than paying somebody $10 to do it. How? Do you make $5 an hour? Do you want to make $5 an hour? I don't. It's not even minimum wage. I don't want to make $5 an hour. But I've just spent the last 2 hours doing something that would cost me $10 to have somebody else do. Right? Invest in quality tools. Okay. There we go. Okay. Practice and master your skills. And we talked about this before. Oh, I got a question here. Tibby said, is that all it costs? I literally hate all the paperwork. Yeah. I think with our agent services, I think we can have admins or whatever put it in for you for like 10 or 15 bucks. I mean, it's really inexpensive. So yeah, that really is all it costs. It is extremely inexpensive to be able to have that done. Practice and master your skills. Well, what does that mean? In real estate, what are your skills? Talking on the phone, knowing your scripts, doing your door knocking, farming your area, reaching out to your sphere, whatever that is. Practice and master those skills. Ultimately, for the most part, it's going to be your scripts. Learn your scripts. And Edwin, I'm going to circle back to your question about what was I using when I was paying $1,000 a month for success. I'm going to circle back to that because we're actually going to touch on it again. So practice your scripts. Film yourself doing your scripts. What faces are you making? Are you smiling? Practice it in the mirror. Because the only way that you're going to get good is to practice and to practice and to practice and to practice. Going back to all these professional athletes, they get paid millions of dollars a year to play their sport. But do they still practice? Do they still go to the weight room? Do they still listen to their coaches? Of course they do. Because it doesn't matter how good you get, you will never be good enough to stop practicing. And that's a fundamental that successful people know. You always have to practice. Continue educating yourself. Guys, classes like this are absolutely a worthwhile investment. And I'm not just saying that because I'm teaching it. Attend classes. Your local board of realtors has classes. Attend them. There's always something new to learn. Never quit learning. Continue to educate yourself. Follow an inspirational person. I'll take this even a step further. Find somebody who has a philosophy that you like and follow them on social media, YouTube, whatever it is. And I would challenge you guys for the next 30 days, okay, 30 days, I want you to start your day with something inspirational, something uplifting, something positive. First thing, I don't want you opening your email. I don't want you turning on the news. I want you to deliberately start your day with positivity or inspiration. 30 days. I guarantee you that you will find a difference in your outlook. I started this about 4 years ago, and I can't even begin to tell you the difference it made in my life. Because I was the person that I rolled out of bed and the first thing I did was check my email and check the news. What did I find? Crap that came up overnight that I now felt like I had to deal with immediately, and bad news. That's what set the tone for my day. So about 4 years ago, I deliberately started where I get out of bed and the first thing I do is take about 10 minutes and read something positive or something inspirational, or go through some gratitudes, things that I'm grateful for. Start your day with an attitude of positivity or an attitude of inspiration. And I promise you, at the end of 30 days, everything in your life will be different. Now, I'm not sitting here trying to be a Tony Robbins or anything else. I'm just telling you guys that what you put in is what comes back out. If you are so focused on negative news and all of the crap that's going on in our world and all the people that died overnight and this is what your brain is going to start going to. Start your day with something positive. Start small. Take 5 minutes. Read something positive. Maybe it's a devotional. Maybe it's, you know, a short little video of somebody that inspires you either in business or in life. Take 5 minutes and start your day with that. Think about some of the things that you're grateful for. Start your day with it and see if it doesn't make a pretty significant impact. Don't start with this, all of this garbage. Start with something like a positivity. The difference between the impossible and the possible lies in a person's determination. And I'll give you guys a very, very quick example. For a long time, they said it was impossible to run a 4-minute mile. It was impossible. So somebody decided, you know what? Maybe a 4-minute mile is impossible. But what if I could do a 1-minute quarter mile? Well, there are a lot of people that had done 1-minute quarter miles. Okay, cool. Let's start with that. A 1-minute quarter mile. A 2-minute half mile. A 3-minute 3/4 mile. A 4-minute mile. Guess what? There are a lot of people that run 4-minute miles now. It was impossible for a very long time. I mean, decades. They said there's no way you could run a 4-minute mile until somebody broke it down into pieces and started making it achievable. It's all about your mindset. The only thing standing between you and $100,000 income is right between your ears. It's you. So what does it take to make $100,000 income? You believing that you can do it, and then taking the actions that you need to take every day that are going to lead you there. That's it. Adapt to change. Here's the one thing I will tell you about in real estate. The minute you think you've got it figured out, something changes. Interest rates go up or down. Fannie Mae changes the criteria from 580 to 620. Lenders no longer can do 1% down payment loans, whatever. And I'm just making stuff up here. Something's going to change. All of a sudden, the biggest employer in your city goes out of business and lays off 5,000 people. The real estate market changes every single day. Those that are successful are the ones that learn to adapt to that change. There were a lot of crazy successful real estate agents in 2004, 2005, 2006, maybe even into 2007. But you know what happened to the ones that lasted through 2008 and 9 and 10? They adapted to the change. They figured out ways to get very, very lean and very, very effective with working what they did. They adapted to change. This is true in any industry. Change is inevitable. It's going to happen. Are you flexible enough to adapt to that change? because the highly successful will always be able to adapt. They'll figure it out. Number 10, and arguably what I would say is one of the most important, is stay true to your policies. I can't tell you guys how many times I have met real estate agents that I met early on in their careers. And then I meet them 2-3 years later. Oh, sorry. I met them 2 or 3 years later. And they were completely different. Their ethics had changed. Their policies had changed. Because they were so busy chasing deals that they lost track of who they are and why they did this to begin with. Stay true to your policies. Follow your moral compass, whatever that is. Because the highly successful people are the ones who know why they're getting out of bed in the morning. Money is almost always secondary to why they're getting out of bed in the morning. I would challenge you to find somebody in your life that is very successful and ask them why they get out of bed in the morning. I would be willing to bet that in a very, very small percentage of those people is the answer money. Now, those people typically have money, but money is not what gets them out of bed in the morning. What gets them out of bed in the morning is that drive for whatever it is. In real estate, that drive to help somebody achieve their goal of buying or selling a home. Guys, money is secondary to that, always. If you are doing what you are passionate about and you are doing it in the right way, the money will follow. Delegate non-agent tasks. What do you guys have in your business that you can delegate out? What do you have in your day that you are spending time on that's keeping you from generating new leads and nurturing the leads you have? What is that? Delegate it out to someone else. Oh, Olivia said, agents with commission breath are the worst. And you're absolutely right. Those ones that are just not in it for their customers, they are in it for their paycheck, absolutely are the worst. It just is. I completely agree with that. But guys, there are things in your business that you do every single day that you can delegate out, that you should delegate out. If it's not something you're effective with, delegate it out. And Olivia just said, get a transaction coordinator for those admin tasks. And that's exactly where I was going next. Have an admin. Have a transaction coordinator. At the end of a deal, the transaction coordinator is going to cost you somewhere between $250 and $300. $300. They can schedule your buyer's inspections. They can make sure that the deals are going along properly. They can coordinate with the title company. They can coordinate with the lenders. They can do all of these tasks. Let's just assume for a second that it's 30 hours worth of tasks. And that's being very conservative. $300 for 30 hours worth of tasks. Would I pay somebody $10 an hour to free up 30 hours to go generate more business? In a heartbeat. Wouldn't think twice. So why spend all this time? If your time is your most valuable commodity, why spend your most valuable commodity with tasks that are not generating new leads or nurturing the leads you have? Because that's where you make your money. We've already established this. If those two things are where you're making your money, why are you doing things that are not working toward those two. Why bother? Because now you are spending your most valuable commodity on tasks that will not generate money for you. Delegate. 3 hours of lead generation and follow-up. A minimum of 3 hours per day is devoted to high energy, high focus lead generation activities. 3 hours a day. Hyper successful people spend, I might even go so far as to say, the majority of their day on lead generation activities. Generating new leads, cultivating the leads you have. Why are you spending the majority of your day chasing down buyers that are never going to buy, chasing down listings that are never going to list, putting paperwork in the back office, doing all these things that are not going to generate income for you? 20% of your activities generate 80% of your revenue. Focus on that 20%. And number 13 is to systemize everything. For each task or function in your business, develop a step-by-step process and abide to them. Create your checklists. Businesses are not grown by people. Businesses are grown through systems. Think about that. Businesses are not grown by people. I could be the greatest person in the world, the nicest guy you've ever met. But if I don't have a system, I don't have a process, I don't have any idea where I'm going or what I'm trying to accomplish, how in the love of all things sacred am I going to accomplish it? I'm not. I could be the most terrible human being on the planet, but I have systems and I have checklists and I have processes in my business that cause me to be hyper successful. My business is run through systems. Everybody is replaceable. So how do you systemize? How do you create those things in your business that allow you to be successful? Have your checklists, have your processes. Know every single day what you're going to do with that day. Know on every single deal where I am in this timeline of processes that's going to allow me to get from putting a buyer in my car and showing them a price or showing them a house to collecting that commission check at closing. I have to have systems to be able to be effective with this. Now, being a nice guy, having great customer service, absolutely that plays a role. But I have literally worked with agents that I would never want to sit down and have a meal with because, in my opinion, they're just despicable human beings that make well over $100,000 a year. People that I would say are just miserable human beings that are making 150 grand a year because they have systems and processes. That's all it is. So what are those systems for you? Develop them. So I want to stop here for just a second. What questions do you guys have? None? All right. So how can you earn $100,000 annually? We've talked about the fundamentals of what it takes to make $100,000. Let's talk about some of the practical things. One, Seek your now business. People that are looking to buy or sell a home in the next 30 days. Now, I'm not going to neglect my pipeline. Those people that are 30, 60, 90, 180, 365 days away from being able to sell. I'm going to keep all those, but the lion's share of my focus is going to be on those activities that are going to generate business now. Those people that are looking to buy or sell their home now. The second one is to have measurable results. How do you achieve something you can't measure? I want to run a mile. Awesome. How long is a mile? I don't know, 5,280 feet. Okay. How do I know when I got there? Unless I measure it out, I have no idea. Have measurable results. Those two things result in multiple transactions. Setting my now business. Now, here's another trap, for lack of a better word, that a lot of agents really get sucked into. Okay. I have so many transactions going right now that I'm going to stop prospecting. I'm on this roller coaster. I'm up here and I'm so busy that I couldn't take any more deals. Those deals start to close and I start to bottom out. What happens then? Oh crap, now I've got to start generating business again. 60 to 90 days later, I'm on the roller coaster again. The successful people in our industry never stop prospecting. They don't. When I am at my busiest, that is the exact moment that I need to start looking for more business. Because all this stuff that I'm working on today is going to close. And if I'm not generating business for tomorrow, I'm not going to have any business tomorrow. Always be prospecting. Understand the real estate business. I have always said that I am a student of real estate. I study real estate every single day. I look at the articles that are coming out. I read the journals. I look at the MLS. I am a student of real estate. Because when you guys call with questions, I want to be able to answer them. The same way that if you have a buyer or seller that has a question, you need to know the answer to that question. So what does that mean? How do you become a student of real estate? Well, guys, there's information everywhere. There's this amazing thing called the internet. Literally anything in the world you'd ever want to know is available. I meet with business leaders. I meet with lenders. I meet with title people. I meet with attorneys. I regularly have conversations with people that are real estate adjacent. Not other agents necessarily, but people that are actively keeping the pulse on real estate. Home inspectors, insurance people. They all have different insights into what our industry is doing that as a salesperson, I would not get. Have those conversations regularly. Go have lunch with your favorite lender. Go have a conversation with your title person. Know what's going on in those arenas, because ultimately what's going on in title is going to affect real estate. What's going on in lending is going to affect real estate. So it's not just getting into our little bubble and putting on those blinders and just being hyper focused on the one thing we do, but looking at the big picture. Which of these provides more opportunity for you, a listing or a buyer? A listing, always. Always. And Debbie said listing. Good job. Always. Why is that? I'll give you guys a second to answer. Why is it more opportunistic to have a listing than to work with buyers? Debbie says listings attract buyers, and that's exactly right. When I have a listing, I have opportunities to attract buyers. I have opportunities to go through and do it. And Edwin added, you get leads from open houses. Absolutely, you do. There's so many different lead sources that you can have, but they all get generated from listings. If you don't have anything to sell a buyer, that buyer is not effective. I want to buy a home, but if there's not a single home available in my price point, am I buying anything? Nope. Are you, as my real estate agent, going to make any money working with me if there are no listings in my price point? No. But if I have a listing, I always have something to sell. I always have an opportunity to attract a buyer to purchase that. There we go. Sorry. When you have a listing, they are contractually committed to you, right? They have an exclusive right to sell listing agreement with you. You are the only agent allowed to have your sign in their yard while that contract is in play. You also leverage your marketing. You have an item that a buyer needs. Leverage that marketing. Takes less time to service them, considerably less time. You can service listings from anywhere. If I have a buyer that I have to physically throw in my car and go drive them to a house, can I be sitting on a boat in Clearwater or in Tampa Bay? Nope. But if I have a buyer's agent that's showing my house and submits a contract, can I send that contract to my seller sitting on a boat in Clearwater? Absolutely. I've done it many times. When I was an agent, and even now, I still take Wednesdays off. More Wednesdays than not were spent sitting on a boat out in the bay somewhere, or out in the Gulf somewhere, or on the Intracoastal, just literally anchored up, sitting on a pontoon boat with the laptops flipped open, my hotspot turned on, and I was working. I can do it from anywhere. But I've always tried to focus on the listing side of the business. And then Edwin says, if listings are what we should focus on, how do we service the buyer leads that we get from them? And that's a really good question. So it's not that you don't want to work buyer leads, but you could refer those buyer leads to somebody else and get a referral fee on it, right? And Debbie said she has to walk away. Can I get the recording? Absolutely. I'm recording this. We're going to post it a little bit later. So I should have it up later today. Your listings can be serviced from anywhere. So yes, you do want buyer leads because listings, there may be a time where listings are harder to get and you want to be able to have some buyers to be able to continue to sell them. But if I'm focusing on one aspect of my business, my focus is always going to be on listings. The leads from those listings are free. Guys, the smart tool in the back office. You go in there, you start posting that listing out to some of these other real estate groups and things like that. Those are free leads. And you get to pick your business. So you get to pick what areas you're focusing on. When you have a buyer, you may have a buyer that contacts you and says, hey, I got your number from my friend James. I'm looking to buy a house down in South Tampa. Cool. If I live in Spring Hill, they want to buy in South Tampa. That's going to be a pretty big draw on my time, right? Whereas when I have a listing, I can focus on what areas I want to take a listing in. I go to the house to preview it. I maybe go to the house to get the listing paperwork signed and to do the photography, or to meet a photographer to have the photography done. And that's pretty much it. That's all I have to be there for. So a buyer, let's just look at some of the things. Now, this I actually think is a little bit of an underestimate. A buyer consult, 1 hour. Sharing listings, 3 hours. Showing homes, 5 hours or more. Following up, an hour. Negotiating a contract for an hour. Contract to close is 4 hours. Closing is 2. You've got 17 to 20 hours. This is a gross underestimate. Typically, from my experience, as I've tracked it, a buyer is going to be somewhere between 40 and 70 hours. A seller, listing appointment is 3 hours. Guys, when you start working by referral, I am in and out of a listing appointment in an hour. Marketing setup, 3 hours is about right. Showing, coordinating, fine. Somebody calls and says, hey, I want to show the property. I reach out to the seller, send a text, hey, they want to show the house between 4 and 5 this afternoon. Can we do that? Yep, cool. That took me what, a minute? Even if I did that 60 times, that's an hour. Cool. Following up with the seller, giving them weekly updates on where we are, the showings we had, the feedback we're getting. Great. Contract negotiation, sure, let's call it an hour. Contract to closing is about an hour. I don't have to be there for inspections. I don't have to be there for appraisal. I don't have to be there when the buyer wants to show it to their 37 family members. I don't have to be there for any of that. And then same 2 hours for closing. I've got 10 to 12 hours in the same deal. And just about that entire list can be done from anywhere. Aside from the listing appointment and then the marketing setup, the majority of that can be done from absolutely anywhere. Anywhere that you have a phone signal and a Wi-Fi or internet or whatever, can be done from anywhere. When you work with buyers, 75% of your time is going to be spent with your customer or the property. You're physically showing them properties. You have to be there for the inspection. You have to be there for the appraisal. You have to be there for all these things. 75% of your time is spent actually there. On the seller side, it's the opposite. I only have to be there about 25% of the time. That other 75%, I can be anywhere I want. So these are the things to think about when you're talking about leveraging your time. Now, there are buyer's agents out there who make $100,000 a year. But the lion's share of the agents that are making 6 figures are listing agents. They just are. Commitment costs and eligibility. For a buyer, client loyalty is always a risk. If you can't go show them the property when they're ready to go see it, they'll call somebody who will. They just will. Even good friends that we've had over the years. Hey, it's 10 a.m. on a Saturday. Can you come show me this house? Hey, I'm really sorry, I can't. I've got another customer today. I've got other plans today. I can't drop what I'm doing to go show you. Oh, okay, no problem. I call them back later that afternoon. Hey, let's schedule a time to go see it. Oh, no, that's okay. I just called the listing agent and they opened the door and let me in. Okay. Did you tell them that you were working with an agent? Yeah, I mentioned it. Okay. Did you give them my card? No. Okay. So under procuring cause, I pretty much just lost that commission if the buyer decided to buy that property. There's no loyalty, guys. Just not. You have to qualify for eligibility to purchase, right? They have to qualify. They have to get a lender or they have to have cash. Buyer leads require marketing to plan, or require a marketing plan and a financing budget. You got to spend money typically to get buyer leads. Whereas on the seller, They sign a contract, 6 months, 12 months, whatever it is that they sign with you. That listing agreement locks them in. There's no approval qualification required to sell. The seller doesn't have to go get approved to go sell their home. And seller leads are public information and free to identify. So, oops. And then when you have listing, the buyers are free leads as well. There we go. Listings result in multiple sales. If you're doing it right, you prospect a listing, you get that listing, okay? But as a result of that listing, you pick up 2 other buyers. You know, people that inquire about that property, because we're doing such a good job that we are picking up buyer leads. Sorry. Those buyer leads are typically free. So I now have 2 other transactions that are free. Those 2 close, whether they buy my property or not. I now have 3 transactions that all resulted from that one listing. That's the value of working the seller side. So how do you find listing leads? Well, there are a number of listing lead strategies. Expireds, for sale by owners are a pretty easy one. And then also networking, advertising, farming, talking, working your sphere. When working with expireds and for sale by owners, you know that these are people that have a desire to sell right now. Do you have to go after every for sale by owner? Of course not. If it's a $30,000 trailer that you don't want to sell, don't call them. Pick your business. The downside is there's competition. Now, there's not as much competition as there are in other areas, but there's competition. If there are 1,000 real estate agents in your market, we're just going to use this as a round number. Statistically, 2% of them door knock. That's 20. 5% prospect by phone. Okay, so 50 out of 1,000. 15% of them send mail pieces, so 150 out of 1,000. And 78% of them do nothing. They wait for their phone to ring. 78%. It's a lot. So 780 of the 1,000 agents are just waiting for their phone to ring. It's not as much competition as you would think. Now, door knocking. This is a strategy that I kind of have mixed feelings about, but I can't argue the facts that go into it. Okay? And the facts are, when you're face-to-face communicating with a property owner, you can best impress and influence the opportunity to be hired. If there's an expired listing in the MLS and you physically go knock on their door and say, hey, listen, I saw that your property is expired. I'm sure you've gotten 57 phone calls today, but I didn't want to be the 58th agent to call you. I just wanted to see if I could maybe have a quick conversation with you. Do you think you're going to have exponentially better success landing that listing than you would the 57 other agents that have called? Of course you will. You're going to have the least competition of agents knocking on the door for an opportunity to present services. The facts are what the facts are, guys. This is an effective way to do it. It works. Now, you get quick results. So there was an agent that said, I got 2 listing appointments and 1 buyer for about 3 hours of work. Not a single person was rude or standoffish. And since then, I continue to door knock, and I get at least 1 hot lead out of it every time I go out. The cost of door knocking is basically free, and it's a great way to get your name out there, and it's great exercise. Another said, many agents tell me that they're scared and they think the people that they talk to are going to be angry and not polite. Nothing could be further from the truth. People treat me with respect and are very friendly. Even the ones who aren't interested are still friendly. Edwin says, should you knock if the door says no solicitation? So here's the thing. It depends on why you're knocking. If this is an expired listing, you're not soliciting. They had an offering that was made in the MLS, and that offering has expired. So you are showing up asking for the opportunity to be able to relist with them. You're not soliciting to sell a service. You are offering to provide something that they need to be able to do it. So let's talk for a second about telephone calls. You have zero financial investment, just your time. And you can communicate to more leads in less time. So obviously I can call people all over town in 2 hours. But if I had to drive to all those places, it's going to take me longer to do it. So this is another strategy. It is extremely effective if you've practiced the scripts and the objection handlers that are best used while communicating by telephone. Guys, it goes back to those behaviors that the hyper successful have. They've practiced their scripts and they are comfortable. You have to be fearless in the contact of in contacting potential seller leads by the phone or by knocking on their door. Confidence in your abilities and knowledge is not an option, it's essential. The statistics are what the statistics are. This is an effective way to get seller leads. It just works. Now, you have to be an expert at your scripts, your dialogue, and your objection handling. It's not going to happen day one. You're not going to be an expert the first time you go out. You're going to fumble. You're going to stumble. But do it anyway. Get out there and do it anyway. Because what's the worst thing that can happen? You stumble into a yes? Okay. But if you don't make a phone call and you don't go knock on the door, is there any chance you could get a yes? Not at all. It's just not possible. You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. Just go knock on the door. What's the worst thing that can happen? Your ability to ignore and move past a no and to demand a yes. It's not for the agent that's unwilling to practice their communication skills. You're going to hear no. But can you keep them talking? Can you keep going past those objections? The people making $100,000 a year that are successful, they can, and they do. It takes practice. Are you willing to put forth the time, energy, and attention it's going to require to be successful? Like I told you at the very beginning, as I go through this, a lot of you are going to go, I'm not so sure about this. I'm not so sure I could do it. I told you, this is not easy, but it's possible. If you want to earn listings from for sale by owners and expireds, what do you have to do? You got to communicate. Sellers can't do business with you unless they know you exist. If you don't call them, you don't knock on their door, how in the world are they supposed to know you exist? You obviously didn't do a good enough job marketing to them through your other sources because they wanted to list it by owner. They don't see the value in hiring you. So what do? You communicate. You convince them. Digital lead prospecting strategies. You can do these quick CMAs for letting people know kind of what their house is worth. So easy to contact, zero to minimal competition. There will be some people that just want to know what their house is worth, right? They go out and they look and they go, I just wanted to see what my house is worth. I'm not actively looking to sell right now, but I just wanted an idea. In turn, you're going to have advertising expense, either time or money. You know, there are people that send cards out that go, curious to see how much your home is worth? Go here. And it sends them to a single agent website. They put in their address and it generates this quick kind of cloud CMA product. There are others out there that do it as well. Last week or the week before, we talked about working within a niche. Divorces, estates, absentee owners, predictive sellers. There's a number of programs out there that can help you identify seller leads. Don't be the jack of all trades, be a specialist. So less or zero competition, and these people have a valid reason to sell. Now, in, let's just say, divorcees, there are companies that will sell you a list of everybody who has filed for divorce in your county. And you can go in and buy those lists to be able to reach out to them. So it's one of those things that you can do, but again, it's an investment of time or an investment of money. And Debbie said, working niches, I missed that. Is it recorded in the back office? It is. I did it last week or the week before. So it is in the back office and Ask Luxie. Let me go to the next one. There we go. So do you guys have any questions so far? As we've kind of gone through a bit more of the practical aspects of what this is. So Edwin said, which one do you think is the best way to get listing leads? For sale by owners and expireds are always low-hanging fruit, always. Those are people that you know want to sell. Now, they might be unrealistic about their price. They might be unrealistic about some terms. But at the end of the day, those are people that you know want to sell. So that's was always one of my strategies. Now, this is actually probably a good time to circle back to the question that Edwin asked a little bit ago. I spent $1,000 a month buying leads. I did Zillow for a year, and then I did Realtor.com leads for a year. I found a lot more success much more success with Realtor.com than I did with Zillow. It's two different philosophies. Zillow is quantity. Realtor was more quality. So I got less leads per month, but I had a higher conversion rate. Now, with that, I mean, again, I haven't bought leads in probably 5 or 6 years. So I can't promise you that what was true then is still true now. But what I found was on my Realtor.com leads, I had about a 10 to 12% conversion rate. On my Zillow leads, I had about a 4 to 6% conversion rate. So even though I was getting lower volume, I was still getting a good return. Now, at $1,000 a month, so over the course of 12 months, I spent $12,000. I directly attributed about $1.5 million worth of transactions to that lead generation source. So 1.5 million at even 3%, 30, 45 grand. So I spent 12 grand to make 40, 45, something like that. That was a decent return on investment for me. After that, then it just kind of became I started getting enough referrals and started working with those people that I had bought to be able to generate additional revenue. So I stopped buying those leads at that point. And Edwin said, what about buying listing leads? So this is kind of I have mixed feelings about it. There are companies out there that sell listing leads, people that they have this 37-point algorithm that have been determined that they're very likely to sell in the near future. It's hit or miss. Buyer leads are a lot easier to get than seller leads, but there are seller lead generation sources out there that are pretty effective. They tend to be a bit more expensive. So that's your trade-off. Now, what does a real estate agent do? that determines their level of success? Well, their ability to discover, connect, and influence people to choose them in real estate. And Debbie said the algorithm info is free on Remind. So there you go. Like I said, I haven't sold real estate in 2 years since I became a broker. So I'm a little bit more out of touch with, the buying leads and stuff like that, but that's really good to know. But ultimately, what determines a real estate agent's success is their ability to find leads, to connect with leads, and to influence those people to choose them. Find leads, cultivate leads. That's it. That's all you do. So what do top real estate agents do that earn them $100,000 income? They master the skills required for discovering, connecting, and influencing people. You get really good. How do you get good? You practice. And you practice, and you practice, and you practice. That's it. That's how you do it. So what is the difference between you and the agents making $100,000 a year? I would venture to say it's your systems, it's your procedures, it's your mindset. It's all those things that cause you to find that success. You get out of bed not knowing what to do today. You roll out of bed at 10 o'clock and go, maybe my phone will ring with somebody wanting to buy or sell a home today. The people that are making $100,000 a year don't guess what they're going to do each day. They wake up with determination. They have a commitment to their business. They stay accountable on their tasks. They're driven to accomplish their goals. They're scheduled well in advance, and they're fearless at doing what's necessary. Those 6 things. If you do those 6 things, you will make $100,000. You just will. I can tell you from experience. My best years that I had selling, I did all 6 of these things regularly. On the years that I did pretty well, I did most of those. But on the ones that I made $120,000, $130,000, $140,000 in a year, I did each of those 6 things. Because at the end of the day, this is what it takes. People making $100,000 a year are not better salespeople than you. They're not smarter than you. They're not better looking than you. I mean, they might be, but they don't have to be. They are people who have systems, and they execute those systems at the highest level. That's it. That's the difference. People don't build businesses. Systems build businesses. How do you develop your systems? You got to work at it. You got to develop those habits. You got to develop those skills. You've got to do those actions every day that you know are going to help you identify new leads or help you cultivate the leads you already have. Those are your actions. That's what you need to do every single day. You don't blame your failures on others. That's a big one. You don't have endless excuses why they didn't work. You don't allow negative thinking to get in the way. Avoid negative people. Another big one. You surround yourself with driven people. And you stay committed no matter what happens. So I heard an expression a few years ago, and it's always stuck with me. If you're the smartest person in the room, you need to find a new room. Now, I don't say this to brag. I don't say this to be a blowhard. But there are a lot of times that I walk into a room and I am the smartest person in the room. But what I do is strive to find new rooms with people smarter than me, people who think about the world differently than I do, people who have achieved things in my life that I want to achieve, whether they're business people, whether they are musicians, whether they are whatever. People who have skills that I admire. I spend time with them. Because at the end of the day, the only way that I can be better is to surround myself with people who are better. If I'm surrounding myself with people who don't have any motivation, don't have any ambition, don't have any drive, just want to lay in bed all day, don't want to do anything with their lives, am I going to be hyper successful when everybody around me shares that mindset? Absolutely not. Something else I read said you can learn everything you need to know about a person. Or said another way, a person's personality is determined by the 5 people that they spend the most time with. As those 5 people change, so too will that person's personality. The 5 people you spend the most time with are going to determine who you are. Choose carefully. Choose wisely. Don't blame your failures on others. Don't make excuses. Don't allow negative thinking to get in the way. Don't get bogged down with negative people. Surround yourself with positivity. Stay committed. Don't give up. That's it. Who controls your success? Ultimately, it's you. It's always you. There's an argument that where you come from, or your childhood, or your past, or whatever decisions you made can fully derail your future. And I disagree with that 100%. 100%. The guy's name's escaping me, and I'm sitting here trying to think of it, and I can't think of the guy. He did the $100,000 handshake. He spoke at our banquet 2 years ago. He had it rough. Came from a really bad situation, did time in jail, but you know what? The man's now a pretty well-paid motivational speaker. Your future is not determined by your past. It is determined by what you do every single day. What decisions are you making today that are going to impact your tomorrow? You control your success every single day. You're the boss. Just a second. Olivia said, or Edwin said, what kind of exercises do you think that we should do to build confidence? Oh, and Steve Hopper. Thank you, Debbie. Steve Hopper is the guy I was trying to think of. Edwin, to answer your question, what kind of exercises should you do? Ultimately, script practice, practicing in the mirror, talking on the phone. These are the kinds of things that you're going to do that are going to allow you to be confident in your ability to do it. Because most people don't believe that they are able to accomplish something until they can physically see that they have done it. So practice them. Practice your scripts. Olivia said, you said that you set up your schedule the night before. Have you found that to be the best way to organize yourself? Absolutely. So I actually have my schedule set for the next week. I've already kind of know over the next week, who do I need to call? Who do I want to meet? Where do I want to go do my pop buys? I typically had a plan for the entire week. When am I scheduling my inspections? When am I whatever? When I get out of bed, I know who I'm supposed to be calling that day, who I'm supposed to be emailing that day. But reviewing it right before bed, when I get up in the morning, I already know, hey, it's sitting there, it's ready to go, I'm out the door. That's how I want to start my day. At the end of the day, you guys have your own business. You are your own boss. I can't tell you what you have to do every day. I can't make you come into the office and sit here from 9 to 5 and do these activities. You guys are independent contractors. You can do whatever you want, run your business however you want. You have to make the decision to run your business the way you want it to be run. If you decide not to, it's because you don't have to. You don't need the money. You don't have the motivation, whatever that is. There's a million reasons why people are not successful. But you have to accept that that success did not happen because you made the choice. You made the decision for that not to happen. And no one else is the reason for your decision to fail. That's it. Your success or your failure is 100% your own. Oh, and Edwin said by exercises, I mean mental and emotional. Okay. So mental and emotional exercises. All right, so here's something that you can do. All right, you're sitting in your chair, right? Get as big as you can get. Stretch out as far as you possibly can. Doing that releases testosterone. So it was something I always did in my car before I went into an interview. I would take about 60 seconds and I would just get as big as I could possibly get. I would take up as much space as I possibly could in the universe because your body will actually release testosterone. And confidence comes from that testosterone. So that's just one example. And there are a million others that I can't think of at the moment. But go out there and find something that is uplifting for you, something that's going to get you into that right headspace. Those are the kinds of things that you can do to help set yourself up for success. Now, this real quick. All right. Now, let me see if I can get out of full screen here. Oops. Let's go back. Okay. So the life of an entrepreneur in 90 seconds. So let's see if I can exit full screen. Okay. And then open this up. I'm going to pop this open in a separate window. There we go. Oops. Sorry. All right, there we go. So Patrick Bet David is a guy that I followed a few years ago, and I really like a lot of some of his principles and philosophies. He's a guy who came up from really humble beginnings and worked hard and really pushed himself and built this empire, for lack of a better term. Oh, Olivia said you couldn't hear the video. Okay, hold on. Bear with me just a second. I'll post the link in here so you guys can history. Oops. Sorry, bear with me 2 seconds here. Okay. All right, I'll put the link in here so you guys can go in and watch it. Ultimately, he's somebody who came up very humble and created this empire, basically. But he talks about, kind of exactly to Edwin's point, you know, some of the things that you have to go through every day to really get yourself to that next level. You know, what does it take to... Oh, Ashley said there were subtitles. We can't hear them. I think Zoom doesn't work with YouTube for sound. It could be. Zoom is kind of dumb that way. But at the end of the day, it's one of those things where you have to make the decision to take your business wherever you want it to go. That's it. That's all you have to do. So if you make those decisions every day, you do the things that you need to do every single day, that's when you guys really get to the point where you can start to see what could be. At the end of the day, you get to determine what your business is going to look like. Now, maybe you don't need to make $100,000 a year, and that's okay. Maybe you want to make $60,000 a year. These principles still apply. At the end of the day, set your goal and achieve those things that are standing in your way. Because the only thing between you and $100,000 a year income is this gray matter between your ears. That's it. There's no magic formula. There's no anything. You go out there, you do the activities that you know are going to generate new leads or cultivate the leads you have. You work them. You have systems in place to ensure that everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. You maximize your time, and you collect the income. That's it. Now, like I said at the very beginning of this class, a lot of those things that I said, most of you won't do. You won't spend the time. You won't dedicate the energy because it's hard. There's no way around it. If you want it, you have to work for it. And you've got a team of brokers behind you that are always here to help you, answer your questions, support you, mentor you, whatever you guys need. We are here to help you get to that in any way that we possibly can. But your success begins and ends with you. So on the Monday, this is kind of the cultivation or culmination of the last 4 weeks that have all kind of built on each other, on building a business and growing a business and knowing what it really means to be a business owner, and then wrapping up today with how to take that business to the point that you guys can make a really good living. So I appreciate you being here. Next week, we're going to do a class on the back office. So if you guys are newer or you know, you're not exceptionally comfortable with the back office, I'm going to kind of give you a class on a high-level overview of some of the key features and functions and things like that. So I would encourage you to come back for it. But in the meantime, if there's anything I can do for you guys or anything at all that you need, please feel free to reach out. I'm always more than happy to help. Make it a great day, and we will talk to you again soon. See ya.